Hi, and good morning. Welcome to another episode of Ask Elly Intuitive Insights and Your Questions Answered. Today, March 9th, is the second week of our magical manifesting month. And I'm real excited to share and talk about our guest in a few minutes. Only first, I'm going to do some housekeeping. So, for those of you who are new to the podcast and have not been here before, let me introduce myself. I'm Elly Molina. I am your hostess. And I'm an intuitive psychic author, consultant, educator, and the creator of the Psy Kids Academy, a magical place where children and their adults learn to tap their inner magic while raising consciousness. And to learn more about Psy Kids, head on over to my website, www.ellymolina, and look for Psy Kids and download your free 16-page guide titled What If? 6 Ways to Help Your Child Tap Their Inner Magic. Then you can also head over to my online course, Make Magic Happen, and check out psychic development for yourself, adults, and children. And so today, I just want to run through some very exciting astrological aspects as I have declared March Magical Manifestation Month. So today we've got Mercury entering Pisces. And again, depending on where this is located in your personal astrological chart, that will make you particularly chatty or dreamy in that house. And then we've got a great conjunction happening on the 12th where Sun and the Neptune move into position. And so this is going to be a great day for you to go take care of something professionally. And then on the 13th, we set our clocks back, right? We've got this daylight savings time that starts. And you also want to really spend, well, my suggestion is this is an ideal day to go do something highly creative. If you're writing a book, this is a great day to start writing it. If you're drawing something, anything that you're creating, great day to work it. And then we'll talk about the rest of the week next week on the podcast. So, without spending much more time talking about astrology, I would love to welcome our guest today, Caroline Wilman. And let me just get her on, and then I'm going to have Carolyn speak also after I introduce her. Carolyn, you are there. Can you hear me? And if yes, can you unmute yourself so that we can say hello to the audience? Okie dokie. All right. I see Carolyn, and here she is. There we go.
Okay, there we go.
Hi, good morning. Hi,
Good
thank you.
morning.
Thank you so much for
Yes.
being on the podcast. I want to introduce you first, okay? Because I am so honored and so happy to have you here. And Carolyn Wilman, I'm sorry, aka Idea Majesty, is a digital marketer that works with companies to create and viral market winning promotions and programs. And her efforts as a marketing expert landed her on the cover of Marketing Magazine, and she was named by More Magazine as one of Canada's top 40 over 40 and featured in High Stakes Sweepers, a pilot for TLC. Miss Wilman is also the author of two best-selling books on finding, organizing, entering, and winning sweepstakes, along with re-releasing Helene Hadsell's first book, The Name It and Claim It Game. Carolyn resides in Ottawa, and her purpose in life is to teach others how to have more fun and embrace the grand adventure we call life. So, hi, Carolyn. I am stoked to have you here, and I've got so many questions. But first, thank you for being with us today.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here because I love sharing how to have more fun in life.
Awesome. And and I can't wait for you to start sharing how people that are listening to this podcast can start winning on contests that they may think like no longer exist. So I do have a couple of questions. I'm going to be doing something of like a circle. So I want to begin with you, and I'm going to ask you some questions, and then I'm going to circle into Helene Hadsell, and I've got some questions about her. And then, because she's the woman, by the way, anyone listening to this who has won, who's known to have won every contest she ever entered. And then we're going to circle back to you. All right. So, yay. So my first question is when did you get started in this work, and what had you get started? If that's, you know, can you share about that?
I think everybody has a winning story. And mine was I've always liked, winning stuff. I remember the kids' games at, Christmas parties, and I'd always win the prize. I was always so excited to do that. And then I remember I'm totally dating myself here, standing in the kitchen on a rotary dial phone, trying to call into the radio station to win tickets.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
and then so I knew you could win. I always knew that, but
Mm-hmm.
it didn't become a daily hobby until I found myself unemployed. I got caught in the dot-com crunch. I'd always worked in the IT industry in the marketing department, and then I found myself unemployed, and I was lying in bed reading a Reader's Digest about a couple who entered contests and sweepstakes as a hobby to enhance their lifestyle. Because trust me, you can't earn your living winning. I have tried, but it sure can enhance it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because it and you can win things that money can't buy. Like I met Sting and Michael Bublé. So, but date night. I mean, one year I think I won concert tickets to something every month for a year, and so George and I would go out on dates that wouldn't, we'd still pay for dinner or buy drinks here and there, pay for parking, but the concert tickets themselves were covered. And then sometimes I would win something at the concert because a lot of the summer concert series would have, you know, uh, giveaways at the promotion, so a win off a win. But it's
Mm-hmm.
really fun to add these things to your everyday life. So I was lying there thinking, oh, I don't have to work. I'll just win stuff.
I love it.
such an Such a dreamer, right? And so I started, and I because I had a marketing background and
Mm-hmm.
a technical background, I applied that to the hobby, and I got really good at winning, and I made every mistake under the book. People say to me, "How do you know how to teach all this stuff?" Well, because I made every mistake you possibly can, and now I tell you what not to do.
Oh, yeah, and you also wrote
Right?
the first, yeah, you also wrote the first book, right, on contest resources in Canada, right? You can't win if you don't enter, right? Wasn't that it
Yeah.
was
So it's
mhm,
Canada. So I started with my intention after going on a winning streak. People started asking me how I was doing it, and it got to the point where I thought I should write a book.
mhm.
So I started doing research, as any good author should, based on your subject. And one person said to me, "Well, why would you give away all your secrets?" Well, that's a
Mhm.
very good question. So I was
Mhm.
driving to a girlfriend's house to have coffee and discuss this. And I passed a church, and on the service announcement board, it said, "You can't lose helping others win." And I thought, oh,
Oh my
that's a
god.
sign for me. Like
I
people
I
say,
just
"God,
got
please give me a
chills.
sign." I had a literal sign from God. And I'm so mad because this was before cell phones had cameras and stuff. So I never got a picture of it. I'm kicking myself that I didn't. But that I'll never forget the instantaneous knowing of, yeah, just that's your path. Just keep going. I don't know what all the path entails. I just have the few breadcrumbs to go this way, and I'm going to go down this road. And so I started writing the book, and I discovered that there was a few differences between Canada and the United States, and I didn't know how to correlate them. So I wrote a Canadian edition, and then I published an American edition.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Wow, wow, wow.
I had one of each. And then several years later, because I got so good at it, I understood how to mishmash everything together. And then my
Mhm.
second edition, because social media had really taken off, I had to update the book for that. I mashed them together and came out with one second edition for both of them together because I understood
Nice.
it. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. I found you. So I'm going to I'm going to do a little circle. And of course I'm dating myself. I'm a Silva Mind graduate, and I learned about Jose Silva back in the 70s when I started doing the Silva Mind method, and wow, did it work. Okay. I mean, I was on a roll over there, oh, I want that, manifest it, mirror of the mind, do this, do this, do this. And so I was a really big Jose Silva fan. And I heard about Helene Hadsell, but she never, contests and winning. It just, it wasn't in my, it wasn't in my neuronet. It wasn't in my life. It wasn't something I was interested in. And so I never really paid much attention to her until recently, I don't know exactly how it happened, a few months ago. I saw a YouTube, I saw a YouTube video with you
Mm-hmm.
interviewing Helene. And then I watched the entire thing, and that like really sparked my interest and piqued my curiosity. Then, of course, I saw the one with Vishen from Mind Valley. But I
Mm-hmm.
want to go now and talk to you about how you got to Helene and what that was like, because that was magical. That was absolutely magical.
Well, it's kind of funny because if you're in the sweepstakes world, like as a hobby, everybody in that realm knows Helene because she won every prize she desired. So, you know, if you want to win prizes, want to know how she did it. And so I had read her book, and then I had a podcast before it was Vogue back in
Mm-hmm,
2008.
mm-hmm,
It
mm-hmm.
petered out a couple of years later when my life took a left turn. But I had invited her to be on the show. So she was on the show, and off air, I asked her if I could come visit her. I was really cheeky. She said
Mm-hmm.
no.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, okay. And then 3 days later, she phones me back and said, your guides are so loud. You better come visit.
Oh my
And I
God.
started laughing because I thought, well, of course, I'm loud in life. Why wouldn't my guides be
Oh my
loud?
God. Oh my
And
God.
that's something she doesn't talk about in the name it and claim it game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that she does a little bit, but she goes into it further in her second book, In Contact with Other Realms, because she wrote Contesting the Name It and Claim It game because you have to remember her first edition came out in 71. They didn't talk about the woo woo stuff we talk about now.
Right, right.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it was not
Mm-hmm.
that's like 50, we forget that's 50 years ago. That's a
I
whole
know,
nother
I
time.
know, I know.
So she knew that to get people, it's kind of, I also have this because I also have a law of attracting chapter in my sweepstakes book. She knew she had to wrap those messages around something people would digest.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so if you could teach people how to manifest prizes, they can manifest anything in their life,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And go down more spiritual path. So even in the name it and claim it game, she says her guides tell her, this isn't the book you're supposed to write. And she's like, I know.
Yeah.
I'll
um,
get to it. I just need to, spoon feed people this with a little bit of sugar first before they'll take the bigger stuff. So that's why In Contact with Other Realms was her second book, even though it
mm-hmm,
was the one she was predestined to write, um,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
first. But it was it was a totally different time. So
Right, right, right.
she wrote that book. So I asked her I asked if I'd come down, and she said, okay. So I went down for 4 days.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to
And
interrupt you. What year was that?
I was just about to say it's 2008. It was 2 years before she passed.
Right, right,
And
right.
boy, I wish I had some of the knowledge today that I had when I went down, because I would be asking her totally different questions.
Yeah.
But again, 15 years makes a big difference. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I get down there, and one of the things she says to me is, you're going to have to teach maneuvers for witchcraft. This is why I think my guides were loud and got me down there, because
Mm.
her her original intention was to have her family take it over. But at that point, she realized nobody in her family was interested in passing down her message.
Oh, I'm getting, yeah. When I
Right.
read,
And,
yes,
and she knew intuitively that I could be the person because I had written books. I knew I understand the technology. I could do her work justice. I had the marketing background to bring it to the people. I have all these threads that tie together, literally tie together.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I said,
yeah,
okay. And then I sat on it because I went into a dark night. And, that's when I got a divorce and I went bankrupt and my, like, my business virtually stopped. My podcast died and I didn't send out a newsletter. Like everything just kind of, and I even had
hmm.
my website hacked at one point. So I had my website was offline for months and months. It
Oh
was
God.
not
Hmm.
fun,
Hmm.
right? The universe wanted me to stop for a little bit.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it looks like you needed a big universe was telling you. I'm not gonna interpret what the universe was saying, but it looked like reboot time, girl. Time to put you on a different path. All right, this is not what it's supposed to be.
Right. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
I see it now, but it was not
Hmm.
fun in the middle of it.
And
Right.
they're usually not, right, Carolyn? They're usually not.
Right. So I was told the universe was my guides had to uh, shift me over wire by wire by wire, like rewiring a computer so that the messages go through different.
Hmm.
Um, so in 2019, at the end of 2019, before our world shifted, I thought this is ridiculous. I got to do something with this. I have sat on this for a decade. I need to do something.
Hmm.
So I luckily got a hold of her son Dyke and said, "Hey, I want to republish your mom's work." And he said yes. And apparently he had other people asking him the same thing, but he always said no.
Wow.
And then I
Wow.
realized at his age, and I thought, if I don't buy the rights to this work, it's going to die with him. So I actually
Yeah.
said that to him, which is a little
Hmm.
bit, I felt a little bit harsh and scary for me to say, but I said it. And he said, "You're right."
Hmm.
So I just, um, I had like a legal contract written up and I bought the rights to all of her work from him so that I can modernize it, put it
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
Amazon,
Hmm.
make it a Kindle
Hmm.
book,
Hmm.
e-publish it, format it in ways that people can get it today because those weren't accessible to her. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
she self-printed books. I have one copy of her third book, Confessions of an 83-Year-Old Sage. Um, I don't know what printer she used, but they actually cut the book crooked. It's totally funny. I was looking at it one day going, this looks really odd. And then I realized it was cut on a slant.
Hmm. Hmm. She,
It kind of suits
yeah.
Helene, right? A little wonky.
Yeah, I don't know her. I just watch the videos. I watched you. I've seen her, on two of those on yours and on Visions. And I think, were you before him or was he before? Do you know how that went? Like,
I was before him
oh,
because
interesting, interesting. Hmm.
they talked to me. Actually talked to him before they were big.
Right, right. When he was just beginning, yeah. Because I
Yeah,
remember
when
I
he was
used to.
just beginning.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so that was really cool that he did that with her.
Yeah. I
And
liked, not that I want to compare, but I really found your interview with her much more appealing, put it like that. Does that make sense? Like you had
well, it
in
was a
your,
different
it was
angle.
a
and
right, and
and
there was
also he was a better
yeah.
interviewer because now I could do a good interview. I've been a Toastmaster for 15 years, but I was terrible. People are you should see the comments on my poor YouTube channel. You're interrupting her. I'm like, I know I suck, but it's the only way I can get the information out there. And they're like, but you cut her off a couple times and she didn't say it. And I'm like, well, I can't fix it. She passed away. Like,
You could
I'm doing
just
the
take
best
off
I
those.
can.
Yeah, just take off those
But what are you going to
comments.
do? And I know those are the things in life you go, oh, those, I wish I'd go fix that one. But
Yeah.
it
I
is what it is.
I'm going to interrupt you now. I want to circle back. Okay, I am currently
Cool.
reading Confessions of the 84-Year-Old Sage, and that's why you can, as a reader, I totally get her quirkiness and how different she was, and what a beautiful soul who didn't care about what other people thought. And I'm mesmerized by her right now, and she's become, that's why we're talking, because I really started to say this woman really had it going and was very confident during that time when the world was not ready for any of this work, and yet she kept at it and never stopped, and that persistence, of course, is so awesome. So I would like to ask you if you could share, if you feel comfortable sharing Helene's biggest, she never hit it, her spec. Can you tell the listeners about spec?
Yes. So in contesting the name it and claim it game, she has a couple of different methods to manifest prizes. One is not as famous, and that's at the beginning of the book. And it's a 3-step program. And the first one is set a goal, very similar to spec.
Mm-hmm.
2, which is important, which isn't part of spec, but it kind of is never entertain doubts. And the third
Yeah.
one, right,
Yeah, right.
is you can con yourself into anything.
Oh
So
my
then
God, I
she has
love this.
spec, right? So it's almost like a 7-part thing, but spec is a nice acronym for
Hmm.
select it, which is the same as set a goal, project it,
Hmm.
which is basically visualization and putting your energy out to the universe, expect it, which is I think where a lot of people trip up.
Hmm.
They don't feel like they already have it, which
Yeah.
some people find difficult, which is why, but she learned it from Jose Silva how to do that.
Hmm.
And then
Hmm.
collect it. Well, that's the easy part. You just go pick up the keys to your car, or the prize gets delivered to your house, or whatever it is.
Oh, God, yeah. Um, she didn't doubt her. That was if you want to look at it as a gift or a skill, that this woman really seemed to have managed what to do with doubt and basically how to work doubt. Hmm.
Yes. And one of the things she says is there's no failure, only a delay in results.
Hmm.
Because I
Yeah.
think that's where one thing she didn't talk about, I think that also comes into divine timing. Because sometimes if you got something at a certain point in your life, it would fry your circuits. And yet, if you get it later, depending on where you are, it will elevate you and help the whole.
Yeah, yeah, it'll make a difference for where you are. Yeah. I guess it's kind of like when I just as you're saying that I'm thinking to myself, what about the lottery winners who then get it and all of a sudden lose it all, because of maybe it was poor timing, that
Well,
the
that's it. 73% of all lottery winners lose all their money within 5 years.
73%, is that what you said?
Yeah. Now I think it depends on the amount. I mean, if
Hmm.
if I won 100,000 in the lottery, that would disappear tomorrow because houses are extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You put it
Hmm.
on your mortgage and it's gone, right? So I
Hmm.
didn't lose
Hmm.
it, it's just gone. Um
Right.
but if I won, $10 million, after you buy the house and the vacations, you could easily see how the rest could be frittered away very quickly.
Absolutely.
Um
Hmm.
and also, you know, people put it through their archetypes, not to get off the topic, but there's
No, you can get off the topic. That's what we
if you're
do here.
codependent and you get pleasure from your self-esteem comes from people who admire you, you're going to start buying everybody a house and a car and a thing, and then you don't have
Mhm.
any money left because
Yeah.
you're buying all that stuff to get self-esteem,
Mhm.
and
Right.
then
True.
you're the one
True.
that ends
True.
up broke, and then they
Yes.
tend to go away when the money runs dry because now they have no use for you.
I know.
So
We've
that's
seen that. I've neve seen it, but I've read it. Okay. I haven't.
right.
So I
Right.
have,
So that's
Mhm.
that's how that happens. But Helene had a good circle around her, and she had, I love her husband, where this is where you can con yourself into anything when you feel that doubt. This is where the
Mhm.
no doubt is. He
Mhm.
She was entering sweepstakes, and she actually won a trip to a dude ranch, and the kids were so excited they wanted to go, and they had to fly, and she's like, I don't think so. And so she forfeited the prize. The kids were devastated. And her
Mhm.
husband's like, do you not go to all those Jose Silva things? She's like, yeah. And he goes, don't you think you can use it to, you know, like flying? And she was grumpy about it. Like, yeah.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
Don't you love it when somebody puts your stuff back at you?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
so she's like, ugh. So she used Jose's system to con herself, into flying.
Mhm.
And, the first one she went on, so they re entered the next year and they won another trip. So the kids were all excited and she, white knuckled it the whole way. And the next time she won a trip, she opened her eyes. And I think the third time she decided she was willing to eat something on the plane. And so it got easier and easier. She realized this isn't so bad, right?
Mhm.
And then after that, she was able to fly all over the world for her
Oh,
path. So she had to get over that fear. But so even she had her struggles. Like we look at people like Helene and go, gosh, she's kind of superhuman because she manifested all these prizes. No, she was human. She was scared to fly and she had a car accident and um, different things happened to her that she said, okay, this is part of my, crazy journey down here on in Earth School, and I'm going to play with it, and it's going to help other people.
hmm. Yeah, and for sure, it has helped the many people who are familiar with her work and her books. And, I am so grateful to you for having purchased the rights and for republishing her books so that these books become available to so many people who are interested in learning more about manifesting. Because for me, for me, manifesting is part of our human potential. And it's just that we haven't been taught how to use this. We all know how to manifest, good and bad. We're always manifesting every single day. And so I'm just really grateful to you for, republishing her books, getting her work out there, of course, and your work out there also, to keep reminding people of the power that does exist within us, and that we don't go to this space of doubt and negativity and woe is me and um, archetype of victim. So it's been a real blessing, really. All this work and what you're doing it's divine and it's a mission. And so I kudos you, whatever the word is. Okay, I
Yeah.
commend you. Yeah, really, I think it's so awesome.
But
So
I think it's part of my life path. Like, for example, out of all the people, see, this is how I look at it. Of all the people Helene ever worked with or talked to, thousands and thousands over the decades, like I can't even, she asked
mm-hmm,
me to do
mm-hmm,
this.
mm-hmm,
That's not an accident to me. That was
mm-hmm.
that's the reason my guides were so loud at her. Because they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you need to get her down here. She needs to pick up the gauntlet because you're going to go and nobody will do it. And we have to keep this stuff out there.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I didn't,
yeah.
and it sat for a while because I had to go through my own process so that I would be in a place to get her message out
Mm-hmm,
properly. So that's why I think there was a delay, like we just talked about the divine timing. You
mm-hmm,
know, it's
mm-hmm,
I had experience writing my own books first. So when I was
mm-hmm.
ready to do her stuff, it's much better. The technology's there now. It wasn't there um,
Yeah.
in 2000, and eight. Like the difference in writing a book and self-publishing it in 2008 when I met her and doing it now is like night and day. There's
Oh,
tools available to me now that I didn't have then. So I really think there was a reason. Also, the the audience has changed
yes,
and there's more ways to reach people. I mean, I'm
yes.
on TikTok. I can only imagine. Colleen says in her book, she says, I'm a bit of a show off.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that again when I was doing some re edits, and I thought, oh my gosh, could you imagine Helene on YouTube or TikTok? She would have had the channel. She would have been, I could totally see her. If that technology had been around when she was doing this stuff, man, she would be on TikTok. She would be on YouTube. She would have had like I could totally
Yes.
see her. And it would not be a I'm telling you, she would not do the podcast because she likes the video. I could see her
Mhm,
in my
mhm.
mind's eye because if you're show off, you don't want to just do audio. You want the video.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And that aspect of her did come through on the video. There, this, this I don't want to call it theatrical, but that she was comfortable in front of the camera. Let's put it like
Right.
that. Mhm. Yes. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I chuckled. I thought I could just see her. Oh my gosh, with her
That
cell
is.
phone out doing like I don't know whatever trend is happening. And
Eating it, just even talking about her cantaloupe and cottage cheese or something, right? Or the birds that are coming out and talking to
oh
her,
yeah,
you
she
know?
would have done
Mhm.
like a daily check in. She would have done like I could
Yeah,
totally see her doing that stuff.
yeah, that's so cool.
It would have been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a great lady, and we had fun. Like when I went down to visit her in Texas. Oh my gosh, I love Texas. I could see why they wanted to live there. Because she's not originally from Texas,
Mhm, mhm.
and
I
so she
don't
ended up in
recall
Texas.
where she.
Gorgeous. It My brain just hiccuped. I thought it was
Like
I not
Oklahoma? No?
Idaho. Oh,
Iowa? Oklahoma? I
Iowa. She was from
Mhm,
Iowa. So yeah, so it's a big difference. There's a big, she moved,
mhm, mhm,
and what a great state to live in. Like they had a perfect spot, and they were where they ended up was across the lake. Her husband could go fish, and it was so they had a great place for them. But we were driving around because she wanted to go shopping, and at that age
mhm,
she was struggled. So her son would take her shopping, because she needed a walker at that point. The human body's a bit fun sometimes, and
mhm,
so we went around, and I took her running around, and then we saw this.
mhm,
I'm like, "What is frozen custard?" We saw this sign. She's like,
mhm,
"Oh, it's like ice cream." I'm like, "Oh my god, I've never had it." So instead of dinner,
mhm, mhm.
we had frozen custard, and we sat in the car, and we're just peeing ourselves laughing how we're eating ice cream instead of or custard instead
Mhm,
of dinner.
mhm,
It was so good.
mhm. It was really funny.
She was
I
fun. Like, yeah, her body aged, but her mind didn't. That's for sure. She was 20, and like
Mhm. It
she was a 21-year
wow.
old girl stuck in an 85-year-old body.
Oh my god. Wow. All right. I'm gonna ask you a question. I made a note to myself. And then we'll circle back to your books. I want to talk about you now also. But can you share a little bit without giving away all the secrets about um you can con yourself? Is there something that you can, or at least tell us where we can get that, or a little
Well,
bit about that?
that part is in the name it and claim it game. It's in the first,
Ah,
well, not
okay.
the first chapter, the first section of Helene's part, because I added some things to make it easier for people to read. So
Mm-hmm.
in the first main chapter called the Name It and Claim It game, that's where she says never entertain doubts, and she says this nullifies all good, strong, powerful, positive currents.
Okay.
So
Powerful.
you
Mm-hmm.
just you just believe that it's going to happen. So it the way I kin that to is if you and I went out for dinner and we look at the menu, right? So now we're selecting
Mm-hmm.
our thing, the set a goal, right? We go, oh, I'm going to have the antipasto for an appetizer, and I'm going to have the fettuccine alfredo, and then for dessert, I'll have the tiramisu, and we'll order this bottle of wine. And we close our menus, and we hand them to the waiter. Do we sit there and doubt for a second that that stuff's not going to arrive at the table?
No. No,
No.
not at all.
We've placed our order, and then we get on with our conversation, and then he shows up with the wine, and we talk, and then the appetizers show up, and we still chat, and then the main course comes, and then they come with the desserts, and we let's add a coffee to that, and he comes with the coffees, and we not for 1 second do we doubt at any point any of that stuff will show up.
It's true. It's
And
absolutely
sometimes we
true.
have to change midstream, like they might come back and say, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry, madam, we have run out of the chicken. um what else, the special of the evening, what else would you like?" Oh, and you're like, oh, okay, so I need to change a little bit, shifting, right? Because people think, oh, Okay. And then he takes the order and he comes back with something else. And it's still wonderful. And it wasn't what we were expecting, which is how the
Yeah.
universe works. But
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
place an order with the universe. They're like, oh, I really want a relationship. Now, I'll give you an example. I did this on my vision board for years. I wanted, a certain type of relationship. But guess what had to happen first? I had to get a divorce because that was not going to be possible with the man I was with, right? We were just not
Right.
working in that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the universe goes, well, are you sure you really want that? I go, yes. And they go, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
people forget, they're like, but why is my life falling apart? I wanted this great relationship. They're like, yeah, that's the point. You can't have
Yeah.
that with this.
Yeah.
If you want
Yeah.
this type of relationship, we have to let him go. You need to rewire your archetypes. The codependent,
Yep.
she'll be there,
Mm-hmm.
but she needs to take a back seat. Your queen
Mm-hmm.
needs to
Mm-hmm.
come forward.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can meet somebody and then it'll be better. And you're
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
oh. And it's okay to be a bit miserable sometimes. I think that's something that we have to do that I don't think is talked about enough. Is that when you're going through those hard bits as you're shifting, I cried so much during the whole process. It was
Yeah.
miserable. But I
Yeah.
know it's going to sound a little icky, but it's pus coming out of a wound. You
Yeah.
want it to come out. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to cry it out. And that way
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be easier to heal because all this stuff is coming out of me. I'm not stuffing it down.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Akin to Louise
analogy,
Hay,
believe it
right?
or not. Yeah.
This is where all
It's
these things
true.
tie together. Louise
Mm-hmm.
Hay
Yes.
taught us about how the emotions and body illness tie together.
Mm-hmm.
So in my brain, I was thinking, I don't want that to happen. I'm going to cry it so it comes out. I don't want it to stay in my body. I want it
Right,
to come
right,
out.
right.
So yeah, I was miserable for a while, but I'm like, all right, I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to lean into the misery. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the
Mm-hmm.
thing. You said we label it good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
We need to admonish those words because you might say, oh, getting a divorce, that was so bad. I needed the divorce to get to the relationship I have. So how is
Yeah.
that bad?
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like
Mm-hmm.
we label it good and bad.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Everything that
The
we do.
universe just wants us to have experience.
Right.
Yay.
There's yeah, exactly. It's just there is no and that's very difficult for people, especially the way our language is, we have, oh, I ate that, it
Yes.
was bad for me. No, you ate that and you ate something. So again, it's neutral until we give it the electric charge. We send it, as
Yes.
the pendulum to the good or to the bad, but it's really it's neutral. It's neutral until we get a hold of it. All right. But the whole thing is fascinating. I have some questions for you, if you don't. Some more questions, if
Sure.
you. What are you up
Oh, I
to
I love
now?
sharing this. I'm sorry.
So
I
no,
talked
that's
over
okay.
you.
No, I talk over you too. So that's part of what we do. It's like, okay, I know better, but knowing makes no difference, right? Carolyn, Carolyn, what are you doing? How can people reach you? And how can you be of assistance to them in helping manifest and creating their dreams?
Well, I have two websites. So the one for I I knew this for a long time, but I finally did it um in 2020, and that was actually split my business into two. So Contest Queen, if you look up the Contest Queen, that's where I teach people how to find, organize, enter, and win, which is ties into Helene's work, the sweepstakes part of it, and the manifesting. I say her book is a law of attraction book with some sweepstakes in it, and my book is a sweepstakes book with a bit of law of attraction in it. We're like the
Okay.
yin and yang. And then
Yeah.
I separated my sweepstakes marketing um, finally to a website called Idea Majesty, and that's where I list all her other books. I do know that at some point I need a third website for just all the books because um, all of her work doesn't really, and the work that I'm doing doesn't always fit under the marketing moniker. But it took me 6 years to make that second website. So I thought, okay, I'm going to give myself a bit of a break. And then at some point, I'll separate all the books onto like an author website that's just the
Mm-hmm.
authory stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so
We're,
I will do that at some point. But yeah, it's a lot of work creating creating a website and writing all the content. I have somebody to make it pretty, but I have to give them the words to put on the
exactly. And
website.
you
So
know, I'm stepping over your words. I've been reading your blogs, okay, just FYI, and they are so rich. So anybody who's listening to this podcast, get on. I suggest you get on Carolyn's newsletter and really benefit from her blogs and the advice that she gives and her teachings. Really beautiful, wonderful stuff. There's so much information, Carolyn, that it was like, okay, I got to go back. I don't know how. I got to go back another day. I got to go back another day. So it just absolutely fascinating. A wealth of information for anybody who really wants to bring manifesting. Okay, so again, getting back, I'm tripping on my own words. We manifest every single day. We manifest all the
yes.
time. But for anyone who wants to manifest intentionally, these are tools that are so helpful for people to have. So I'm going to strongly suggest get on Carolyn's website, get on her newsletters, get in contact, pick up some of these books, and start manifesting intentionally. I think that's really the key to all of this. What do you think?
Yeah, I appreciate that. But that's the thing, this hobby is so vast. Like when Helene was entering, there was only in person. Like if you wandered around the grocery store, you might find what they call um, entry blanks, like on the shelf talkers, as they say in marketing. And then, or a ballot or an entry box at the front of the store for whatever promotion. They had the radio where you could call in,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had mail-in promotions, and that was it.
Right, right,
That was all
right,
she had. And now the in person has virtually disappeared.
right.
The radio is now overlapping everything. So radio, you can listen for the cue to call in, but now a lot of radio stations are giving you a code or word to text in, and then they call back somebody back. So it's texting now.
Mm-hmm.
Or that you can go to the radio station's website and enter online. Like, so radio now is 3 different ways to enter. And
Mm-hmm.
then of course there's online, which is vast. There's the regular, hey, just find an entry form, fill it out and submit it, to um, what they call advert games, where you play a little game to get entries. And then there's social media is crazy. There's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are the big ones. There's the occasional Pinterest. Pinterest used to be big. Now it's kind of faded back. So
Ah,
those are the 4.
ah.
And then
I have a,
there's, yeah, like it just keeps going, right? There's so many ways to enter
I have a
that
question.
it's just, yeah, it's very vast. And so you have to kind of keep up with the changes. That's why I don't run out of things to write about. And I've been blogging since 2008, because people say to me, well, where do you see the hobby going? Well, I sure didn't see vertical video coming in as one of the entry methods.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I,
Wow.
I wouldn't have
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
predicted that. Facebook had
Wow.
just started
Mm-hmm.
in 2008, I believe. Am I right? I might have the year wrong.
Yeah,
And I know,
2008, 2009. Yeah. Mm-hmm. No,
and
8. I think you're
Twitter,
right. Mm-hmm.
and I got on Twitter a year after I should have, because I kept saying, oh, there's a lot of giveaways on Twitter. And I finally got on Twitter. And I realized, oh, I'm a late adopter. I know this. I don't know why I keep kicking myself when I show up late to the game. I was
Mm-hmm.
a year late on TikTok. I was a year late on Twitter.
Oh, look,
It's
some
almost
people
like
are
I
not
wait
even.
to see what people are doing before I all right,
Uh, Look, some people are. I'm not even on TikTok, but I'm not going to TikTok, even though people keep telling me go to TikTok, go to TikTok. I don't know. It's just something I'm not. Nah, not for me. Maybe one day I'll
well, I
change my
did it.
mind. Mm-hmm.
I got on it when everybody did, and I saw the singing and dancing, and I'm like, no. And then I
Mm-hmm.
started writing my next book. I'm doing an updated version of How to Win Cash Cars, Trips, and More, because again, the whole hobby has changed since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to come out with updated new stories, new resources. Like, resources have changed. I
Mm-hmm.
have new stories for people. New
Mm-hmm.
techniques to enter have changed, like TikTok's new. And I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
realized, oh, I'm writing this book, and I thought, I can't teach what I don't know.
That's true. It's
right?
true. Yeah,
So I got on
absolutely.
TikTok, painfully learning how to use TikTok. And after about 6 months of playing with it and entering and figuring things out, I won my first TikTok contest. So
Oh,
that was
really?
very exciting. I
Yeah.
know, right?
Congratulations.
It was a
Yes.
good prize too. It was $1,000 Visa gift card.
Oh my God. Good for
So it
you.
was
Good
worth
for
the
you.
effort, right?
Yeah,
Because not as many people.
absolutely.
See, that's one thing I teach is better odds. How many people are entering on TikTok versus the other platforms? So I spent the
Wow.
time and figured out, and you had to submit a video. So I had to learn the techniques. That's one of the reasons it took some time, because I was watching all these TikTok teachers, and I watched the videos, and yeah, I'm scrolling, but I'm watching, okay, how are they doing those different angles? Where's their lighting? Are they using a
Wow. Wow.
microphone? How are
Wow.
they
Yeah.
adjusting clips? And I would play with videos. Like I would just try random videos, try some of the trends just to test it, just to see how
hmm
it would work, just to
Yeah.
get and that's the thing. So I tell people when they're doing social media giveaways, um, post random crap. play play with it, right? Like
Yeah.
learn. So when you're doing Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, just post things, try things, write things, figure it out.
hmm
And
hmm
that way, when a contest does come along that you want to enter, you know how to do it, because
Yeah.
you've posted 50 videos playing with this one and that one and figuring it
So
out and understanding how it works. And it's a game. That's the other thing. Helene said it's the
it's a
name
game.
it game. So even if
Yeah.
you're not entering a contest in that minute, this is a game. Have fun with it.
Yeah, that's true too. We forget to have the game of life. Lawrence Scovel's Shin. No, we forget that it's a game. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
have a
had somebody
question.
post on oh, sorry. I had somebody post on her video. They said this is just a law of attraction repackaged, but it's always repackaged. Florence
hmm
Scovel Shinn was over 100 years ago. And
That's
then
right.
Neville Goddard
hmm
was just shy of
hmm
100 years ago. And
Yeah.
then Jose Silva was like 70 years ago because he was in the 50s. And then
Right.
Helene Hadsell was 50 years ago. She was like, everybody's repackaged. And The Secret came out in 2008. That's repackaged again. That's like,
Yep.
it's the same
It's
stuff.
yep.
It's
Ask
not
and you
new.
shall receive. Right.
Right. I think that was before, right? Wasn't that 2004?
Oh no, I was
Wasn't,
asking and just giving. I'm talking about the Bible. Okay.
oh, the Bible. What? Well, there you go. Like it's none of this is new. It's just
No.
how it's
Mhm.
packaged and presented.
Exactly. Exactly. I have one more question for you before we get to closing. What do you think about the Publishing Clearinghouse sweepstakes? Any
I
thoughts on
tell
that?
people, so here's something interesting. I tell people don't enter it because I like to teach best odds sweepstakes. So I do best when I enter local giveaways from my city, because there's going to be less people entering it than say a statewide promotion or a national promotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not
Mm-hmm.
rocket science, it's a numbers game. Like in sales, that's how I used to equate it. Because the odds of winning the Publishers Clearinghouse sweepstakes are literally in the billions. I think it's 1.2 billion to
Ooh.
win it.
Uh-huh. Wow. I don't know.
And
I'm
I
just
think the
mhm.
odds on the Powerball are something like 1 in 43 million. Like you're better off buying the Powerball than you are entering the Publishers Clearinghouse. So then someone posts on my blog where I talk about don't bother, it's a waste of time, saying, well, you teach the law of attraction. If I set my mind to it, I should be able to manifest it. And I'm like, technically he's right.
Yeah,
Okay, go
yeah,
ahead. Like,
yeah. Right. Who
go
am I
ahead
to
and
stop
manifest
you,
it.
right?
I would
Yeah.
like to see this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if
Show me
that's
that you can win
real,
it. But I think
is it
most people have doubt in there, which
yeah.
is,
Well, one of my things
or they're
about it.
manifesting from fear, or they're manifesting from low self esteem. Because in his brain, a lot of people would say, well, I want to win the lottery. Why do you want to win the lottery? Well, I want to win the lottery, so I have this and this and this. Well, why do you want that? A lot of people want that stuff because then they'll feel they're enough.
Yeah,
So if you
yeah.
feel you're enough first, which is something I believe Helene did, but didn't vocalize it or know to talk about it, because remember, she taught this 50 years ago,
Yeah.
that if you feel you're enough before you start, stuff will manifest because you're not trying to manifest from a wound or a void or a hole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. I have one more question before we end our show today. Do you think the people, look, I don't know. Do you think the people that win on the publishing clearinghouse, that that's real? Is it real?
Oh, it is real.
Oh, it's
And
real?
I know
Okay.
it's real because years ago they used to always give out prizes. It was never a scam,
Mm-hmm.
but the rules weren't clear. And so they got taken to court and they had to pay out, I can't remember. I have to go back and look at the history. But they had to change the rules. That's why the odds are worse now than they ever were. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because they had to go and make the rules extremely clear on your odds of winning and what you had to do to win. And there is no purchase entry. Like um, people thought that if they bought magazines, they would have better odds of winning. Legally, the odds should be the same whether you make a purchase or you use the no purchase entry option in the rules. And so that was made more clear
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in today's rules. Like if you read today's rules from the ones that they used to do, these ones are much more concise and um, you have a better understanding of your responsibilities and what you have to do to enter without making any purchase. So
Right,
that's
right.
what it is. But I just so people do win. They can't not win. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed to run.
Yeah,
Like it would be
okay.
illegal. Like there are
Mm-hmm.
laws in place that if you're going to run a sweepstakes, you have to have specific rules. And there's actually lawyers that specialize in promotional law, just like somebody
Oh,
specializes
interesting.
in
Yeah.
estate law or corporate law or there's all these different types of law. There are lawyers that specialize in promotional law and write rules that follow the laws of the state and the country.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Because
makes sense.
if someone's not following the law, you can report them to the attorney general and
Mm-hmm.
they have to, they could be investigated. So the rules are a legal and binding contract between the sponsor and the entrant that
All
can
right.
be taken to court, which is exactly what happened to Publishers Clearinghouse. They got taken to court because the rules weren't clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they do win, but like I said, I just don't I do better in my local sweepstakes. It's concentric circles, right? The smaller the
Right, right,
circle, the smaller the
right.
entry pool, the better your odds of winning.
Right. And if you're doing it, right, exactly. And if you're doing it to have fun, and not be attached to the outcome and get all depressed about, I'm doing the publisher's clearinghouse and I'm not winning. You don't want to get depressed, right? It's supposed to be fun.
Well,
Just
that's
like the
true,
lottery, it's supposed to be fun. Uh-huh.
I do tell people I get sometimes people going, "Well, I entered 3 giveaways and I didn't win."
Mm-hmm.
Well, giveaways now aren't the same as when Helene did it.
Mm-hmm. Right,
She
right.
was very targeted in her entries and she would win them, but it was also way different back in the day.
Yeah.
I enter a lot to win some
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe, right? And so I
Mm-hmm.
call it January at the gym. People go, okay, I'm going to go in, I'm going to win all these giveaways. And they enter all these giveaways and they don't win and they give up. And it's like, well, you can't go to the gym 3 days and wonder why you don't look like The Rock,
Right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Right.
right?
Persistence. Yeah.
Right? It's
Mhm.
consistency over time. And it's the same with sweepstakes. If you enter consistently over time, you will win. Everybody I know who takes the hobby seriously
Mhm.
wins. Everybody.
Awesome.
I have never
Awesome.
not seen it work.
Awesome. Awesome. Wow. Well, we've come to the end of our time. Maybe we have to have another call in the future, but
Yes.
I put into the website I put into the chat where people can find you. And I'm also going to put it onto the YouTube video that I have and onto the podcast at the end so people can find you also. And I'm going to highly encourage everybody to go over and check out Carolyn's work, get her book, get Helene's book, really intentionally manifest and have fun. And if there's anything that you'd like to share before we call it a day.
No, I think you've covered it all. It's just, The same as the title of my first book, you can't win if you don't enter.
Yeah. I have to tell a joke, okay? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Um, a guy came up to God, Jacob went to God and said, God, God, please, please let me win the lotto. Let me win the lotto. And then, do you know this joke? And
Yeah,
then,
I love it.
okay, all right. And then he comes back the next day, God, God, I need you to let me win the lotto. Please let me win the lotto. And still nothing. And then goes to God the third day, God, please, 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 I need to win the lotto, please. And then God speaks to him and says, buy a lotto ticket. Give me a break or something. Give me a break, Jacob. Buy a lotto ticket. All right. So basically, yeah, I want to win. I want to win, but you do nothing, right? So anybody who wants to win, you got to get in the game. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to take action. Helene took action. She did go out there and she did enter. She physically entered the sweepstakes. She would spend time doing the
Mm-hmm.
mail-ins and listening to the
Mm-hmm.
radio. And she didn't just sit there on her couch. Oh, I want to win. She she
Right.
she she did the actions
Yeah.
required.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Caroline, thank you so much for being my guest here and for my listeners. And it was such a pleasure. I will be in touch with you so that we can reconnect and get you back on. And everybody, head on over to the websites and follow Carolyn wherever she is and go make magic this month. It's a fabulous month for magic and manifesting. So thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. And thank you,
Thank
everybody,
you
for
so
being
much.
here
This
today.
was so fun.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.